But what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Value Bomb Wednesday. Today we've got a special training because I am accompanied with Corey and Charles, and they've got a lot of sauce to drop on you guys when it comes to real estate planning. But like when we say those words, there's a lot more than that just goes into it. And I'm learning just from talking to Corey earlier that it's more than just buying real estate. There's all these different things that go into it. And from what it sounds like, like you mentioned, it's basically a start to finish, like literally to the day that you die. They have a game plan that works. I think you mentioned you guys do have a community, so we'd love to learn a little bit more about that community, what you guys are doing for them, how you help everybody out. But I'll shut up and let you guys take the floor. And then towards the end, we'll open up the floor for some questions. I do have some questions that were sent this morning and yesterday, but if you guys have any questions, if you're watching it right now, definitely drop it in right now as we go. If you're watching the recording later, still drop those questions in the comments because they are also part of the group. They will see any of those questions and they're more than happy to help you guys out with your real estate journey as well. So that being said, I'll stop talking and I'll let you guys get into it.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thanks for having us. It's definitely a pleasure. What you're doing is definitely needed. And there's a lot of bad companies out there and bad people giving bad advice. So great job there. So just a little bit about me. I'm Corey Boldroff. I've been licensed since 2004, and I've done everything from foreclosure bailouts. I was a loan officer in the heyday of 2004 to 2008. Done 49 fix and flips. I own about $10 million in real estate, mostly single family, a couple 2 to 4 units. I own a couple of residential assisted living homes, two which I'm silent partners in, and one that we're just getting on the ground and retrofitting it right now. I am a certified real estate planner, so that basically means I help people build, protect, and transfer generational wealth through real estate. Kind of like a financial planner does for your stocks, your bonds, your retirement accounts, I do for people's real estate. I really help them with the full planning of it, all the way to their legacy planning, so that when they do pass away, they can transfer their wealth absolutely tax-free and dispute-free, which is so huge.
Hey, we
I
love
own my own
that.
real estate.
It's
Oh,
tax
go ahead.
season. I was just gonna say it's tax season right now, and I just had to pay a boatload in taxes. So I wish I talked to you guys earlier.
So yeah, we need to talk because it's the difference, and I'll go into a little bit, but it's the difference when we have a CPA and an accountant. Hopefully, you guys aren't doing your own taxes. If you're making anything over 80 grand a year, you need to have a tax planner. It'll be someone that will work with you throughout the whole year to say, okay, when you're going to file your taxes next April, you're going to pay zero. I'm living proof. I mean, you could make almost $1 million a year and pay $33,000 in taxes. How much did you pay in taxes?
I'm just looking at it right now. I owe like 25, and that
25. So yeah,
yeah,
so I made 876 and I paid $33,000 legally in taxes. This year we're working on zero.
that's
Um,
crazy.
and they say, there's one for the rich, there's one for the poor. Really, what there is, there's two tax systems for sure. There's one for the informed and there's one for the uninformed. Both are 100% legal, but one's going to give you an unfair advantage over the other.
Mhm.
Um, so I own my own real estate group called the Complete Real Estate Group. Right now, we're powered by Keller Williams. We're switching brokerages pretty soon here. So if anyone's in the real estate game, hit me up because we are growing our nationwide brand across. We cover most of California, Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, and New York. And we're always willing to go into other areas that make sense. I also own a company called the Complete Senior Transition Specialist. So we help seniors and their families downsize, relocate, transition to assisted living, find options for long-term care, help with the decluttering, organizing, packing, moving, estate sales, you name it. I love vertical businesses. So I love coming in, seeing where there's an industry that I love, which is real estate. And then how can I build a business around the pain points that I'm trying to help, and either partner up with companies or do the own company myself. Um, and and then so basically it comes down to is like if you guys know anyone that wants to build, protect, transfer generational wealth of real estate, or someone that has an aging parent or grandparent or is aging themselves and they just want to know their options, I would love an introduction. That's pretty much how we do all our business is by introducing to people that need our help. Um, and I thought I would kind of just start off with 5 different reasons to invest into real estate kind of at like a basic level so that if anyone's thinking about getting into real estate or they start getting into real estate investing, it kind of gives them the basis to really look at it in a in a holistic approach, look at the big picture, because there's definitely lots of different ways you can make money in this country. And what I want people to realize is you can make great income. You can make great income drug dealing. I mean, you really can. But if you're not investing that money, it's going to go up your nose, down your throat, or it'll end up catching up to you. So no matter what you're doing as far as making income, you got to learn, and it's from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. You got to turn your income into employees. You got to find ways to go out and invest. So like I have one investment, it's out in Kentucky, it's a duplex. I call it my Tesla because I invested into it. I get $750 a month in positive cash flow, which is how I went and bought my Tesla. So I didn't buy my Tesla and go figure it out. No, I went and bought the duplex and then said, okay, I have this much. Now I can go buy a Tesla. So now I'm driving basically essentially, car payment free. So the number one reason I believe to invest in real estate is because it's one of the best appreciating assets there is in this country. Historically, you have a 3 to 5% nationwide year over year, appreciation. And there's only been 5 years in the last 40 that we actually had a negative, depreciation or a negative loss in real estate. But it quickly recovered. Some of them were less than 6 months, some was 12. Our biggest one in 2007, 2008 crash. It took about 2 years, 3 years to get back up on the upslide, but now it's worth far more. 2019 to 2022, we increased by 42%. It's like, where else can you do that? But one thing I can tell you is don't try to time the market, try to get time in the market. It's a
Mhm.
long-term play.
Yeah.
Over the course of the last 30 years, most states have been appreciated by 300 to 400%. It's why 90% of millionaires made it through real estate because you buy a piece of real estate, you hold on to it for 20, 30 years, it's going to triple, quadruple, you're gonna get a lot of appreciation. The number two reason to invest in real estate is leverage. It's one of the few appreciating assets that you can actually leverage and leverage it well. So if you have $100,000 and you go buy $100,000 in stocks, guess what? You get $100,000 in stocks. And even if it hits the S&P 500 national or historical average of 8 to 10%, you're appreciating by 8 to $10,000. But with that same $100,000, you can legitimately go buy $1 million worth of properties. But when it appreciates by the million, not the 100,000. So even if it just went up by 3%, you're now making $30,000 of appreciation instead of 8 to $10,000 in appreciation. So it's one of the best ways to do it. Then we come down to tax liability reduction. As I was saying, the fastest way to increase your income is to depreciate or is to decrease your tax liability. So when you come into tax liability reduction, you have an appreciating asset that you can actually depreciate and show a loss on. So you can get tax liability reduction through depreciation, accelerated depreciation, interest payments, investments that you put into the property, and there's other high level ways of getting a tax liability reduction. And that's why they say the rich don't pay taxes. It's because the rich invest into real estate. And the more real estate you own, the more tax liability reduction you get. And if you have a great tax planner and a great strategist, you can actually find out, okay, if I have a great year, if I break over a million this year, then I'm going to take a couple of my properties, accelerate the depreciation so I have bigger losses so that I don't pay taxes on it. And then you can start recycling through. Um, so that's another thing. Dividends, we definitely want to make dividends. Now in real estate, your dividends are lower than most. And when I say dividends, that's rental income. And I look at it as like a cap rate, and I like to have when I'm building my wealth, 20 to 30% of my own money or someone else's money, but I want to put that into there and then use a loan for the rest of it. And I want all my positive cash flow after my capital reserves account, after my vacancy rates account, after all the mortgages and operating expenses, I want to at least be plus positive cash flow and at very, two, 300, $700. I want to be making some money, and that's my dividends. Now, Eve, I have a property in Simi Valley that I pay $400 a month out of my own pocket every single month. I still love it because I'm putting in, let's say, $4,800 a year, but it's appreciating by 12 to $13,000 a year, and I have a $7,000 write-off. So I'm showing a loss, and I'm still appreciating. And one day the rents will catch up, and I'll start making some better cash flow. And that one I'll talk about it. I did a long flip. So I basically every penny I put into that property, I've already pulled out of it. So I'm $0 into that except for the $400 a month. And then diversification. It's one of the few appreciating assets that I don't have to like stocks. I'll have to sell my stocks to realize my gains. In real estate, I can pull out a loan, let's say $100,000. It's tax free because loans aren't taxed. And now I can take that $100,000 and go invest into whatever you want. I always invest into real estate or tax liens, but there's some people that want to go into cryptocurrency or stocks and bonds or life insurance products. So it's a pretty cool thing, as well as I can have four pieces of real estate. I can sell those 1031 so I don't pay any taxes, and I can go buy commercial real estate or I can buy a big commercial
Corey,
real
quick
estate and sell it
quick
off. So you can
question.
diversify it. Okay.
For the 1031, for the people who don't know that, can you just explain that? Was that what you were referring to as far as accelerating the depreciation to be able
No,
to
no. So it's two
tax it?
different things. So accelerated depreciation is where you can actually, so let's say I own a single family residence. The government says that I can depreciate the building or improvements to the land by 27 years.
Mm,
So if it's 500,000, I take let's say it's 500,000 building value. I can divide that by 27, and every year I'm going to get that much in write-offs. Accelerated depreciation says, you know what? I want to accelerate the depreciation. So let's say those cabinets that I put in have a 5-year lifespan. I can now take the value of that cabinets and depreciate it in a 5-year standpoint. So I can accelerate the depreciation. So that's one thing. The
mm,
1031 is actually it's an IRS tax code called 1031. There's a 1033, there's a 729. But the 1031 allows you that if you own any piece of real estate, you can sell the real estate, and as long as you buy equal or greater value to, and you buy it within 180 days, and you identify within 45 days, so there's a couple of rules, you don't have to pay any taxes because basically you're taking your investment and you're putting it into another investment. The
but you're keeping
government
both now.
loves people to invest in real estate and they want you to keep investing in real estate. And the coolest thing ever is they give you one of the few things in this country where they give you a benefit for keeping it till you pass away. So
Mm,
it's called the step up in cost basis. So I can own my pieces of real estate. Let's say I own $10 million of real estate, and by the time I'm dead, it's worth 30 million. If I was to sell it before I passed away or transfer it before I pass away, there's going to be $20 million in capital gains, which in California, I could be charged up to 10, almost $10 million.
Jesus.
But if I wait till I pass away and my kids inherit it, hopefully through a trust, so they don't have to go through probate, they'll be tax free. Now they're going to inherit the properties at $30 million. They can sell it on day one and not pay a single dime in capital gain taxes.
Holy shit, dude.
And that's the end
That's
game.
a
It's called
10
flop
million
till you
gain
drop.
right there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the whole thing. And that so many times we get, families are like, oh, well, I put my kid on title. Why? Because they told me to. Who told you to? There's a lot of misinformation out there. You want to put the houses into a trust. Really, I mean, you want the houses in LLC and then the LLC is held in a trust. But very least, you want your properties held into a trust. You want to have your kids as the beneficiary of it. Hold them till you pass away. And then your kids can inherit those tax free as of right now. They've been talking about getting rid of the step up in cost basis. I think there's way too many politicians and rich people that have too much wealth in real estate, and it would cause a frenzy because then people would not want to keep investing in real estate. So it would be detrimental to this country if they got rid of that.
So Corey,
Um,
for
yeah,
the people that are just getting started off, let's say they're 25, 26, just got out of college, trying to figure their way through this market. They're looking at everything. Oh my God, it's too expensive. How can they get into the real estate market? How can they start making money in real estate without necessarily buying? Like, is there different ways that people can actually start?
absolutely. So we're actually doing he teed me up on purpose. No, but we're doing a free webinar and lunch. It's basically tacos and slushies at 6 p.m. in Westlake if you're in California. But it's free, and we're doing 5 different strategies to invest in real estate. Some with little to no money in your pocket. What I can tell you is two things. If you don't have your first home, you are paying someone's mortgage. It's just not your own. When you're renting, you are paying the landlord's mortgage. Let's not be fooled about it. So it's not that you can't afford it, it's just that you haven't seen a pathway to it. So
Yeah.
these two things. One, if you're young, you don't have to buy your first home alone. You can get three buddies that are all renting, get together and buy a house together. Each rent your own rooms from each other, hold it onto for a year, and then go buy another one. It's like basically a version of house hacking. You can do it with 3% down in California. They give you the down payment. I bet in other states they give you the down payment as well. So you can literally get in with a $400 home inspection, $800 appraisal, get some people together. So that'd be number one. Number two is if you don't own your own home, nothing says that you have to buy your primary first. So you can buy a home in, let's say Kentucky for $135,000 and rent it out. And at least you're starting to build wealth and you're starting to get your feet wet in the real estate game. And then we'll go subject to financing, creative financing, seller financing. What I can tell you is there's a bunch of senior citizens who own homes and they don't want to sell them because they don't want to pay capital gain taxes. And they believe that if they sell or financing, it'll prolong or extend out their capital gain so they don't have to pay it all at one time. So you can find people that want to sell property, seller financing, and pretty much with no money out of your pocket. So yeah, so I mean, there's
Dude, that
definitely
is some
different ways.
sauce right there.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows about house hacking, but like I don't know if you're doing house hacking, it's just like a lot of people, like you said, they think they got to do it out alone. Especially here being in California, I live in San Diego. I'm looking at a 3 bed, 2 bath. It's like 700 grand. I'm like, dude, that's just like good fucking luck, dude, doing that on your own.
So yeah, and another person like I don't know why we're too proud, but going to our parents and grandparents and saying, "Hey, will you help bless me while I'm alive and while you're alive? Will you
Hmm.
help me buy this home?" And even if they're equity partners and they're putting a big equity down, help me get into the home. Even if I own 10% of equity of the thing, I'll pay the payments. I'll have me and my friends rent from you. It's just a way
Yeah.
you gotta
Wow.
get in there, you know?
Yeah. It's like the
Yeah,
And
Corey.
time in the market, like you said, like whatever you gotta
yeah.
fucking do, gotta make it happen. Because my buddy was telling me something that kind of aligns with like, can you help me while you're alive? Like the book called Die with a Zero, and basically the whole thing is just like, why am I gonna give you the inheritance when I die? By the time you're like 30 or 40 years old, you already made your money. If you could help me now while you're alive when it matters the most, where I'm still trying to come up, like let's fucking do that. Like I don't really need your money when I'm 40, you know?
And one thing, and that's where we call it blessing your kids while you're alive, predetermine your inheritance. Don't be too proud to say, "Hey, will you buy? I'll let mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, I'll let you keep it in your name. All I ask is if I keep making the payments and I'm responsible and I show you I'm responsible, I want to be named as the beneficiary to this house in your trust so that when you pass away, this house is mine." Why wouldn't they want to do something like that? They're going to help you. You're showing them that you're responsible. They can build up the equity. And maybe if you build up enough equity and you can say, "Hey, every month I want to put this much away where I'm earning the equity. So I'm buying into the equity." And then at a certain point in time, maybe you sell it and you say, "Okay, let's 1031. You go buy your house and I'm going to take my portion of the equity and go buy my house." Like ultimately, real estate is the way to build wealth, I
Dude.
believe, in this country.
I wouldn't even say that's a proud, that's not a pride thing. That's just a lack of knowledge. Because the more I can just see it
Yeah.
in Miguel's head, like ideas are popping off live here.
Dude,
But
you're literally seeing the light bulb in my head. I'm like, dude, I've never fucking thought. I'm like, dude, like, I'm like, holy shit, that's
Put this all
crazy.
together, Migo can get you the down payment to get into a
Exactly.
house, and then just say, "Hey guys, we're instead of flipping this house, let's live in it for 2 years. We're going to pay the payments. We're going to pay back the interest payments on these credit cards. And then in 2 years, we can sell it, do a 1031 exchange, and go do it again." So over the 2 years, we're building appreciation. We're putting some value add in there. Go get some guys that are handy. Go find an electrician. Go find a contractor. Go find a framer, and all move in together because that's the true way that you're going to build wealth. And then if you do it right, if you kind of do it, then in 4 to 5 years, you can all decide you'll own 4 or 5 homes by that time. And you just say, each one of us is going to get each one of these homes. And then that fifth home, we're going to keep doing it. And, in 20, 30 years, you could have 5, 10, 15 pieces of property. Even if you're making $700 a month, you got 10 properties, that's 7 grand a month.
Yeah.
And more likely rent's going to go up, just like inflation's going to go up. So maybe that 7 grand is really 12 grand. And now you can be optionally employed. Imagine being 50 and being like, I don't need to go to work. And it
Yeah.
just happened. I'm 43 years old. And for the first time ever, this year is my rentals pay for my primary and all my expenses. So if I did get hurt, if I said, you know what, fuck life, fuck everything, I hate everyone, and I just wanted to go be like a recluse, I could literally sit at my home and everything's paid for. Um, and that's where, and if someone goes, oh, well, what if someone stops paying? Well, then I have the choice. I could sell the property if I'm desperate, pay the taxes and have some equity, or I can find another renter, when it really comes down to it. Um,
Dude,
so
this is
yeah, so that's
exciting stuff. The amount of creativity that goes into it, just because like, yeah, like we mentioned earlier here in California, it's like less and less likely for the average person, if you're not making 200 grand plus a year or whatever, for anyone to buy a fucking home. Like because I've done Airbnb arbitrage, I've done fix and flips. I've been wanting to actually purchase a home myself. But yeah, it's just kind of like a big scary thing to go at it alone, where you're like, okay, I think I need to do this. But you have somebody like you guys who have the experience and have the ideas like, hey, if you don't want to take on all this risk, have you thought about, partnering with your sibling or your current housemates that want to do this? Like, I'm just having like so many ideas in my head. And the big thing that I'm thinking, especially for the people watching here, especially the newbies, right? A lot of us, you might be thinking like, oh, I want to do this. I just don't have the money. That's where we come in. We'll get you guys the down payment through the 0% business credit. Easy. Again, another way to limit that risk is if you have people that you want to come up with that you trust, personally for me, I got a house full of other entrepreneurs. Like I'm just thinking in my head, like I want to pitch this idea to them and hop on a sales call with you guys and just like really lay out like, hey, all right, these are my assets. Like, this is what we think we could do. Like,
yeah.
give me a game
So
plan.
we call it a strategy session. They're absolutely free. There's no obligation, no pressure. And we will literally meet with anybody and say, okay, what do we got? What are we trying to accomplish? Like, and I always say, stop thinking this year. Start thinking like, what is a 5-year plan for wealth? What is a 10-year plan for wealth? And then what is your legacy plan? Like, I want to have over $50 million of wealth for my kids because I got 7 kids and I want them to have enough to pass on to their kids. But you can definitely do it, and if you do it right, you can literally get into a home with your financing. I mean, they can get in. Let's just say we did it like the long way. You went and bought a property for $135,000 in Kentucky. You got financing from you for 30%. You're making $750 and you did that for 4 times each, one time each year for 4 years. Now you're making 3 grand a month. Will 3 grand a month offset your mortgage in California? Yeah, it'll probably put it in half. Well, now that makes it so your income can now actually afford to get into the home in San Diego. So in 5 years, you're actually owning your own home, and you have 4 other properties along with it. I
That's so
mean,
badass.
you know,
I actually, I don't want to take away from this call because you're dropping so much sauce, but like on a different call, let's schedule like an actual strategy session because I know for sure just one of my housemates right now, we've already been kind of talking about a strategy like this about partnering up. But I mean, if we got somebody like you who could basically help us plan it from start to finish, because we have people in our network who have done like flips, who have done like Airbnb and just like real estate investing in general. But like, what I really like about what you guys have to offer is it's not just one side of it. Like, oh, I like just fix and flips and that's it. Like, this is like a long term hold strategy to get us into not just one, but continue flipping that money into the next thing over and over.
100%.
There's
We're
definitely
we're down. We
different
could do that
phases.
live even if you're comfortable with it. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Charles.
Yeah, there's definitely different. What you're touching on, there's different phases, and I had to learn this too, as Corey and I just recently partnered up a few months ago. But there's different phases when you're accumulating real estate. You're going to have the quick fix and flips, you're going to have long-term plays, and then like if you want to just get started and like how can I make money in whole, like you can wholesale or you can become a real estate agent. So there's all these different avenues. But when you have somebody like us who can plan and kind of really understand what you are trying to do, then we can devise a plan to help you get there.
Yeah, and I feel like even for me having experience in Airbnb and fix and flips, like when I was doing fix and flips, I literally moved all the way out to Indiana to work with this partner because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I'll move out there if you teach me how to do it, which was cool. I learned a lot, but like even then, it's still scary. So I think that's like the biggest thing is why people like they're like, oh, there's too much that goes into it. So it's just like I'm just not even gonna actually like think about it. But like I don't know, based off this short interaction and live, like the amount of sauce and ideas and creativity that came into it, just like already, it just shows that you guys know what the fuck you're talking about. You know what I mean? So and that's such
I
a
believe
like,
I see it. My
yeah,
our
yeah,
mission, our brand is about empowering through education. And I can't empower other through education unless I went through a bunch of education. I continue to just read books and I go to seminars, like any kind of anything I'm willing to pay for to go, okay, how can I learn this? One, to see if I want to do it. I mean, fix and flips is real easy. There's three simple rules in fix and flips. You have to win at the purchase. So if you can't buy a home, turn around the next day and sell it for more money, you are gambling. Don't gamble with your money or anybody else's money. The second
yeah.
thing is stop going on, oh, I could sell this home for 900,000 because the top house sold for 900,000. No, go on the lowest home of the average homes that sell and base your numbers on that. And then three is you got to be thick skinned. You got to be willing to not sleep and you got to be willing to get your hands dirty because if you don't have a great team that you can actually end up trusting and don't trust them before you know they're great, dude, I mean, even just having someone go in and paint and change out electric outlets and things like if you're not there to babysit them, dude, they'll just take advantage of you. I mean, I literally just had it happen to me. Because we bought a house in Arizona and it was like a no-brainer. And it's been now the twilight zone of freaking bleh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we want to look at your long-term goals. You want to base your whole thing on your long-term goals, and then again, find out what it is that you like to do, um, and analyzing properties. And we could do another one of like, probably in the strategy session, we'll go through how to analyze a property. It's called an asset performance test. So you look at cash on cash return. You look at your cap rate, your adjusted positive cash flow, your cap reserves, your depreciation, your appreciation. You look at the whole big picture and then see if it aligns with your goals. So
Mhm.
there's times where I come into a house and I analyze. I'm like, dude, you have a 2% cap rate. But the person's like, yeah, but I have an 18% cash on cash return. Where else can I make 18% of my money? I'm like, I don't know. Where else can you make 18% of your money? Because I don't know. Um, and there's other people that have a 6% cap rate and their cash to cash return is like 1% because they put so much money into their account or into their house. And I'm like, you didn't leverage real estate. One of the five basic rules you're not utilizing. So yeah, you think you're making money, but you're really not. Let's go look at it. So a lot of times, people who have real estate will analyze their property. I'm like, dude, I could double and triple your income without you spending a single dime. You'll pay no capital gain taxes, and your appreciation is actually going to go up because we're going to buy more pieces of real estate. So that's definitely something we could do. I do want to end it off, and then we can open up for questions. Is when you're building your wealth, there is a building phase, but there's also protection. You got to have a trust. If you have wife and kids, or you're planning to have wife and kids, go get a trust. Go get life insurance. You should have enough life insurance to cover all your real estate. So any of my debt in my real estate has to be covered. My income has to be covered for 5 years. And I need to know that my kids will be covered till they're 18. So if you don't have enough life insurance to cover that, then you're not planning. You're gambling with your life. Because the one thing we all know is we're going to die. We just don't know when. So if we can use life insurance the right way, now I'm not a fan of IULs and cash value. I just believe that you can take that cash and invest it better. But I'm a huge proponent of, whole life insurance. Like, give me life insurance until I pass away, and then give me term insurance until I'm 81, because statistically that's how long men live. So I at least want to pay the stats on my side. So that's kind of how I look at it. So I got a $10 million policy on term, and I have about a $3 million life insurance policy on whole. And I can just keep growing that as my wealth grows. You want to have a great tax planner, and if you're into stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, there is a point to them. Have a good financial planner, have a good state planner. It's all about planning. But what questions do we got? I got 20 more minutes until I got to go for my. I have a round of golf for my
No
Y
worries.
Wednesday.
No worries. So I got this one sent in yesterday. So um this person asked, they write a lot off on their taxes, and the thing that's been holding them from getting into real estate is, they just can't get approved for technically what's on paper, right? Um do you have any specific strategies or just like ideas on how somebody in that position who writes a lot off their taxes wants to get into it? What other investing strategies? Because for them, it seems like all they've looked at is like, let me get an FHA or conventional loan to buy a home for
So,
myself.
so I think, yeah, if it's for primary, you can do a bank statement loan. So they'll take 75% of your bank deposits. Your rate's going to be a little bit higher, but at least you can get in there. I'm a huge proponent. Don't give any money to the government. Like I will not give them a single dollar. They don't come chase after me first. And they're going to prove that I owe that money, and then I'll put them on a payment plan, and they'll never get my money. So I'm in the same boat. It was hard for me to get a residential loan for my primary. Um, so that would be one. There's nothing to say because loans are all about intentions. So there's not anything to say that you can't use a DSCR loan to buy a home. You got to put 20, 30% down. The rent's got to cover the mortgage. And within 6 months, go, you know what? I actually want to move into this home. And you can move into the home. Um, so that could be a way. You can do subject to financing. You can go to the seller and say, hey, look, I have great credit. I have, here's my profit and loss. Here's my tax returns. I make money. I just write it off. Is there a way that you can become the bank? I'll put a down payment in here and you can finance. And here's the benefit for it. In a 5-year period, you'll be making 6% on your money, depending on how much they owe on it or whatnot. And now they can make an extra 30, 50, 100, $150,000 over the 5 years. Right now, all the sellers like, I want to make as much money as they possibly can. And, they're like, oh, I won't accept it. I just had a client right now. We're selling their home. The highest property sold for 49. We got an offer for 495, and they're like, no, we want 500,000. I'm like, you're really gonna walk away for 5 grand? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, why don't you just hold the note, 30 grand, hold the note, and in 5 years you'll end up making, it was like 16 to 17 grand extra. I'm like, why don't you just do that if you want the 5 grand that bad? And people start realizing, like, hey, okay, wait a second. So that would probably be what I would say is get into it, but don't ever. You can do bank statement loans, you can do asset loans. Um, Now, I mean, it's not something I would recommend just because I hate the government and hate giving them money.
I
But
agree.
you could amend your taxes. You can go back 2 years and say, hey, I actually, want to amend my taxes and cut off my write-offs. Or for the next 2 years, you can just not write off as much. You'll have to pay more in taxes, but then you at least can go get the FHA loan because that's what they look for. But I would say let's sit down. I'll talk with my mortgage planner and yourself or the person that's asking, and we can find creative ways to get inside a house.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Cool. And I guess this one's kind of like a follow-up from that person was like, um, what would somebody like, right? They have their normal 9 to 5, or maybe they're working even more hours, right? But they're sitting on some cash. They make a good amount from their cushiony job. How could they still get involved given that they don't have as much time? Because I think a lot of things that people stress about on real estate is, one, there's a lot to think about, and they think that, oh, like, I'm the one having to like swing the hammer or whatever it is. Like, how would somebody who's got some solid wealth be able to get into it without having to provide as much like time and effort into it?
What I can tell you is finding the property is all about time and effort,
Hmm.
but everyone that finds property always needs money. And so if someone's got money or credit or the ability to get financing, that their gold, they're just as much as gold as the person that's finding the property. So I think they could team up. I think they can go on like a bunch of investment off-market properties subject to financing, creative financing, go on the Facebook groups, and I guarantee you nonstop you're gonna find people, hey, I have this house, I found this house, has a 3% rate, it needs a $30,000 buy-in. Who wants in? Do the numbers on it. If it makes sense, give them the 30 grand and you don't even need to get financing through the traditional banks. Um, there's
So are
all,
you
I mean,
just kind of coming in as like a private money lender for these people looking to
I
get
would
in?
say come in as an equity partner.
Okay.
So you can lend the money and say, hey, I'm going to lend you this money, but I'm going to be an equity partnership in this thing. You always want to have equity. It's
Hmm.
cool to be a private lender, but I'm even saying there's people that find homes and don't have the means or the want for some reason to own the home. We'll come in and just let them find the homes, let them do all the time and effort, spend an hour after you get off of home from work or during lunchtime, or if you got a downtime at your work, just look through the Facebook groups and be like, hey, this person has a house, has a great rate. They only need 30 to $40,000 down and 5,000 or whatever it is, and buy the house. I mean, long term, even if you're again, even if you're losing $200 to $300 a month, I would still say to buy the home. Like it doesn't make if it's over 500 to 1,000, depending on your wealth and how much income you make, maybe I'd be like, okay, that might not be the best case scenario. But yeah.
Okay, cool. One question I have for you guys, and I'll definitely learn it once we have our strategy session, but can you just kind of walk through just like a high level overview? You don't need to get into too much detail, just like what's like the first step, right? So let's say we book the call. Is it like first is like, all right, how much money do you have or coming in? What's your assets? Like, what is your goal? And then like, how are we gonna like implement this, or like, how does that kind of work for you guys?
Yeah, so the strategy session we first start off with who you are, what you do for a living, what your income looks like, what your assets look like, and then we start turning into what does the long-term picture look like? Because people, oh, I want to build wealth. Okay, but wealth to you and wealth to me might be two different things, and neither one is wrong. But if I start talking to you and I'm like, oh yeah, I can build you $3 million of wealth, you might laugh and go, $3 million, Corey, that's gonna I want to build 20 million. Well, that's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different motivation, dedication, determination. Um, then we look at that and then we go, okay, and in how long do you want to be optionally employed? It's obviously like if I'm talking to a 40-year-old, I got less time to do what I need to do. Versus if I'm talking to a 20-year-old, I'm like, dude, let's look at a 30-year plan, a 40-year plan, so that by the time you're 50 or 60, you are like you're not just optionally employed, dude, you're like optionally retired and living a good retired life. So that would be the thing. And then we just got to look at it like some people like fix and flips. Some people like Airbnb. Some people like midterm rentals, long-term rentals. Like you got to figure out what it is. I would say don't be so tunnel vision that you have to do what you think you have to do in the beginning. But like I stay away from long-term rentals in California, but I love residential assisted living homes in California. I mean, each home can make me ten to $15,000 plus positive profit. Um, but I wouldn't do residential living homes in many other states. I mean, maybe Arizona, maybe Tennessee. Because I need the demand to be there, but I also need the wealth to be there. But I love midterm rentals near military bases. So I will look for military bases that train military like there. So I think it's really just coming down to like throwing out a bunch of ideas. I love options. I love empowering through educations, and I love you self-discovering where do you see your path? And then once you see your path, then we start building that out. And sometimes, I mean, we usually set an hour, but sometimes it might take 3 to 5 strategy sessions to really start building that in there. And then it's just like, okay, now it's time to take action. And that's, the number one thing that separates people that are successful from people that are not is taking action. If
Yeah.
you don't take action, and I would, I don't want to call Charles out too much, but he came out on my team, and for the first, couple months, it was like, trying to figure out, and all of a sudden, kids started taking action, and freaking, he's like taking off, and now he's partnered in one of my businesses because I just see that he's a man that's taking action. And I mean, besides being a good-looking motherfucker, he can find talent pretty well. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then the number two thing is knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it. And then the third thing that you need to do is you need to invest in education. Like
Yep.
if there's ever now, I don't believe in mentorships and coaching things, me personally, unless you're really learning from someone that really has done it themselves and is willing to walk alongside of you.
Mhm.
Like the Pace Morby mentorships and the Preston mentorships. Like I hear too often people spending 10 to 36 grand. Um, and that doesn't make sense to me because once you give the person the money, what, where do they have, what vested interest do they have in making you successful?
Yeah.
But if someone says, "Hey, like me," most of the time I go, "Hey, I'm gonna make 25 to 35% of the deals that I help you get and the deals that I help train you get." Well, the only way I'm gonna make money is by helping you get money.
Yeah.
So you're
I'm
gonna
the,
learn why you earn, and I'm gonna earn why I teach.
yeah.
And the more I teach you, the more wealth you get, the more wealthy I get. And I think that's really kind of where you want. I liked your program where you're like, "Hey, I'm going to charge you money by getting you money." Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
kind of
like my
partner I
success
want.
is your success. Like it's
Exactly. Like let's do it.
yeah. I've been into far too many other like programs where it's just like, here's the money, and it's just like, all right, where you at now? You know what I mean? So that's why something like an offer like this is just such a no-brainer. Like, hey, like I'm not getting paid unless you get paid. And then same with you. So that was actually another question that we got was like, as a real estate planner, how do you make your money? So essentially, you guys are basically charging, which is totally fine, like your commission for being able to help whatever you help them
I,
get.
yeah. So as a planner, I make my money by buying, selling, and investing into real estate as a licensed agent. So no
Mhm.
matter where in the country they're looking for properties, I'll help them find the properties, and then my boots on the ground will pay me a referral fee out of that, or split of the percentage. Or if we wholesale a deal, I'm going to make my wholesale fee. If we invest together, I'm going to make my equity partnership. So it just depends on what the situation is, but we don't charge like a financial planning fee. We're building the Visionaries collaboration network where we're collaborating with agents, wholesalers, investors, lenders, and we're basically getting all together and say, how can we do a better job in the real estate industry? How can we be solutions driven, be service oriented, and really try to help people with their pain points rather than take advantage of their pain points? And that's like we have a coaching thing, but it's like I think it's what is it, Charles, 197 a month. So there's not a huge upfront thing. And it's like, hey, as long as you get value from it, stay with us. And then we'll help you actually get the deals. I mean, we'll jump on the phones with people. Someone like last night I talked to a lady. She had a client who has 150 properties, $15 million of real estate. And she's like, I don't know how to help them. I'm like, let's get on a strategy session and I will make sure no matter what happens. She's like, well, I told him I'd charge him 2% consulting fee. And I was like, I think you should go renegotiate with him and say that you want two of his properties. Why would you want money when you can get his properties instead? And
Hmm.
now you have a good cash producing asset, you get it, and that's part of you consulting. She's like, oh, I like that idea better. I'm like, yeah, of course you do. Because the 2%, even on 15 million, talking about 300,000, or was that, yeah, 300,000. Wouldn't we want more than that? Like, let's get the real estate. Even if we get $300,000 of real estate in 30 years, that's going to be worth 600 to 900 to maybe $1 million of property, plus all the cash producing assets that we had and dividends we got.
Damn, that that just blows my mind, dude. I feel like this is something. One I want to use, and that we'll definitely talk more in a strategy session. But I feel like for the people watching this, like if you guys have been just super overwhelmed with where to go, like everyone should know by now, like real estate's the shit. Like that's how you build wealth, but a lot of people don't know how to do it. Like what I'm more excited what you guys do differently is it's not like, oh, you have to be at this level to be qualified. It seems like, right, like we're just going to help you build out the plan. And it's like yeah, it's just like a lifetime thing. Like you guys are building out 10, 20, 30, 40 year plans. And I feel like like you said, most people are only thinking about just this year. But I don't know. I've
And
learned,
most agents and wholesalers, they just think about the transaction. And it's like,
yes.
how can I make as much as I can on this transaction? Again, I got 7 kids. I got a 6-month-old boy. Like, I'm thinking, how can I be here for the next 20, 30 years? And then how can I help myself build wealth? How can I help other people build wealth? Because if I do it right, then I can get their next generation and I can get their next generation so that I can pass on a business to my kids to say, hey, this is how we're going to keep helping people build wealth and then getting people like Charles to say, doing the same thing. And people are going to resonate with Charles that don't resonate with me. And people are going to resonate with me that don't resonate with Charles. So now Charles can help his own community and his own tribe build wealth and maybe do it in a completely different way. I mean, I always say, real estate is the best investment. I'll debate that with anybody, hands down, and I don't care who it is. They're like, real estate is the best investment you can have. The reason why I know It's so great right now is because everyone, social media, the gurus, TVs, all trying to tell you not to invest into real estate. And it's like, don't own your own home. Like Grant Cardone, don't own your own home. The guy owns three of his own homes, so don't let him fool you. He just doesn't want you to own your own home so that he can own your home and you can rent from him. And then go invest into commercial because he knows that if buying a single family residence is out of your reach, then definitely buying a commercial building is out of your reach. So now you're going to go part of his company, pay him money, and build him wealth. And again, he's a billionaire, so he's done something right, but he's done something right for him. I
Yeah.
don't think he's doing something right for the whole country. And I do believe that real estate, owning your own home is the American dream. It's what made this country so powerful, and we're losing it. Like
Mhm.
there's more, we're soon going to become a renter's nation. There's going to be more people that
Yeah.
rent homes than own homes. And once that happens, we're going to be like Europe. In Europe, you don't really buy homes. You rent homes or you inherit homes. And those inherited homes either get gobbled up from an investor or hopefully the family takes it over. But a lot of times they just can't or don't see the need to it because they've been so conditioned just to rent. So I'd say whatever you guys can do in any way I can help you, you can help them. Like you need to own real estate.
Yeah.
Like you can't, it's the biggest hedge against inflation that there is. When inflation goes up, guess what happens to home prices? They go up because the dollar doesn't go as far. So now you need more dollars to buy more home. So the value goes up. Like it's just the best thing. During recessions, guess what real estate does? The last 4 to 5 recessions, they've went up.
Mm.
Besides the housing bubble in 2007, which that was an artificial crash caused by lenders, caused by the government. They planned that. They stole half of America then. Same thing with 2020. They stole half of America. We need to stand up and say no more, find ways to own real estate.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with that being said, I guess last question. Actually, we'll do this offline, but I just want to know when we could book a strategy session for
So
me.
what I'll do is I'll put it
We'll
in the
record
chat
it.
right
Anything.
here. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put my calendar. For the most part, my calendar's pretty up to date. Charles sometimes will like say, "Hey, man, do you have any time tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, what 15 minutes of my life do you want tomorrow?" Um, but Charles is able to do strategy sessions, so we're building a couple people that can do the strategy sessions. So I put it in the chat.
Beautiful.
That's my calendar. You can go on there, book a strategy session, and and we can just sit and talk. And I don't care. You don't need to have to do something. You don't need to have 10, 20 properties. You can be 2 years away from buying a property. But if you sit and we start going over things now, it'll help you get there faster. And there might be things that you have to do over the next 2 years to be able to get there. So um, and then just know the average homeowner right now, I think it just crossed 40. It used to be 33, then it went to 36. I think it's 41. So if you
Ooh.
don't own your own home and you're not 41 years old, don't feel like you're a loser, that you're behind on the times. And think of like most millionaires and billionaires, like I should say, deca millionaires and billionaires, they made it in their 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
So yes, influencers and social media makes us want to believe that there's a bunch of people making in their 20s making millions and millions of dollars a year. It's not real. I can tell you. Is there great ways to make great money, through social media? Absolutely. But real estate is where you're going to build your wealth. You want to make money or you want to build wealth? I want to build wealth.
Yeah. All right. Well, hell yeah, guys. Thank you so much for the sauce. I know anyone who's watching this is going to get tons and tons of free value. So, Corey, Charles, thank you so much for the time and all the value. I'm most certainly going to be booking a call, and I did drop the link in the comment section to this live training. So, if you guys have questions, if you guys just have like one-off questions, feel free to drop it in the comments, or if you guys want more of their time and whatever it is you guys are looking for, definitely hit that link, book the call with them. I mean, I personally learned a shit ton just from this call, and this is what they do. This is the information we're getting for free. So just imagine actually being able to work with them. I'm excited to learn more myself, and I will also be keeping you guys updated on how my experience is. But so far,
Charles, why don't you put your Instagram in the chat as well?
Yeah, and then the
Um,
last thing I would go ahead and love to leave with you guys is whenever you book a strategy session, don't feel like we're ever trying to pressure you to buy anything. But more so than anything, take like an internal look inward and really figure out what it is that I like to do. Like Corey touched on yesterday. Like with my parents personally, they got into Airbnb, but they didn't realize like, oh my God, I'm gonna get calls three, four, sometimes times a day talking about, hey, can you come drop off toilet paper? No, like what? So
I'll buy
figure
that shit.
so like I tell everyone, like really figure out how involved you want to be. Or if you have no money right now, do you mind becoming an agent? And Corey and I, we can teach anybody how to do 20, 30 deals. Or if you want to wholesale, like how can you get into the industry, but do it ethically.
Mhm.
So get clear on that, figure out what you and your buddies can do together and build something even bigger. Um,
Yeah, one thing I also want to say is thank you guys for everything, but like what to kind of hit it home, what I'm getting from this is they feel like I feel like they're like the one-stop shop, start to finish, literally complete newbie, help you plan it out till the day you die. I love that. My biggest takeaway from this too is just like, dude, take away all the stress of trying to figure this out. Because if you try to do this all on your own, you're just gonna fuck up, or you're just not gonna do it at all. And one of the books I'm reading right now, it's called Who Not How, and I love a couple quotes that I want to share with you guys. They say, if you have the money to fix a problem, then you don't have a fucking problem. And that's where I come in, right? That's why it's so helpful to have that money. But also too, the other thing is stop looking at these investments like hiring people. For example, Charles and Corey, don't look at them as an expense. Look at them as an investment that's going to be able to bring returns on you. I think that's something I've had even trouble with my business is like you want to keep the whole 100% of the pie. But when you think about it, no, you fucking don't. Like you don't want to be hunting for the deals, figuring out how to build out trust, do all this tax stuff. And, they might be taking 25, 30% or whatever it is that they're getting. But like, do you, I feel like that's worth it versus keeping your sanity versus you trying to figure this all out on yourself and making the mistakes that's going to cost way more than what you're going to pay originally. Um, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys, Corey. Thank you, Charles. I'm dropping their Instagrams in the comments below as well. So make sure to give them a follow.
All right. Appreciate you. And yeah, anytime. We're always welcome to come on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great
all right,
day.
thank you, brother.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.